Hello, and welcome to the 2020 State of the College Address at Lake Tahoe Community College. I'm Nancy Dalton, and I'm the current president of the Board of Trustees. I don't think anyone could have imagined how our world would turn upside down and inside out over these past few months. This past year is one that we are not likely to forget, but it will be one that we learn and grow from. I would like to introduce my fellow board members, and as luck would have it, our chosen professions fit appropriately into the 5 meta majors. The meta majors encompass the academic areas of study offered at the college. The clerk of the board is Dr. Karen Borges. As a doctor, she represents science, technology, and environment. Need to know about anatomy and physiology? Talk to Karen. Carrie David, with his accounting background and decades of service to our community, is a trustee who matches best with business, hospitality, and leadership. Jeff Cowan's communication background, agency experience, and skillful articulate ways place him in the arts, language, and humanities category. As Deputy District Attorney, Toni Sears' years of service in the legal system correspond to health and public safety. He's helping to keep all of us safe. As a retired educator, I represent society, culture, and education. Our student trustee is Jenny Martinez, and she's studying marketing, which falls in the meta major of business, hospitality, and leadership. Over the next year, the board, along with the administrators, faculty, staff, directors, adjunct faculty, community partners, and students, will work together to make Lake Tahoe Community College a place where everyone is welcome and everyone feels like they belong in our Coyote family community. The board would like to recognize the remarkable way the leadership team responded to the pandemic and how they continue to be innovative and flexible as we head into the next academic year. Led by President Jeff DeFranco, the entire staff has made every effort to make the best of this less than ideal situation, and for that we are truly grateful. We are confident that with Jeff at the helm, the college is in capable, experienced, and knowledgeable hands. The entire Lake Tahoe Community College staff and community have worked tirelessly to make this a safe and successful academic year. I would now like to recognize a few of the many employees who I have observed going above and beyond. Al Frangione, Director of Facilities Planning and Capital Construction and Head of Security. Al is basically the point person for the college on campus, ensuring employee safety and distribution of necessary supplies to students and employees. Whatever someone needed to pick up, Al handled the logistics and made sure that the item was available and that the checkout procedures followed all safety protocols. Melanie Chu, the Director of the Library and Learning Services, worked diligently to ensure students had access to whatever they required for their academic needs. From books to art supplies and the technology for learning, students had all they needed to be ready for their classes. She made sure the items being checked out were tagged and a process was in place to securely check out items needed for remote learning as well as remote work. Felix Chagoya, our now permanent Director of Maintenance and Operations, congratulations Felix, maintains a daily presence on campus and is available to help in whatever way the college needs him. He has full responsibility for maintaining the campus and is always ready to pitch in when necessary. His willingness to help in any way he can makes him a crucial player for our campus. Heather Cade, Purchasing Technician, was also always willing to help whenever needed. From directing traffic for drive-in registration to assembling beds in the Lake Tahoe Community College housing property, from mailing out the book in common to making floral arrangements for campus events, Heather is a true team player. Lastly, as Executive Assistant to the Superintendent President and Secretary to the Board, Lisa Schaefer certainly has her hands full. No matter the need, Lisa is always willing to help out. Most recently, Lisa has spent countless hours preparing for the convocation activities happening this week and helping connect with our team building day. Her always happy to help approach is appreciated by all of us. I wish I had time to mention how everyone on the staff at the college has pitched in to help make our new normal as seamless as possible. Please know we value all of you and thank you for your service and dedication to Lake Tahoe Community College. As a community, we will get through these trying circumstances if we keep doing our best and continue to dedicate ourselves towards providing our students and community with opportunities and support. The college will emerge stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for whatever we encounter in the future. Together, we will continue our efforts to make this year as supportive and successful for our students, staff, and community. Thank you, take care, and stay safe. And now please welcome President Jeff DeFranco.
All right, you ready? Let's go. All right, welcome everyone to the first physically distant State of the College address. Here we are. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Of course, we're missing you here in the audience, but we do have a dedicated bunch of audience folks, all physically distanced with masks here. So thanks for joining us here locally. And thanks to everyone who's tuning in, our employees, our community partners, our students, our colleagues, our friends. And once again, welcome to Lake Tahoe Community College's 2020 State of the College Address. Definitely a year that will go down in the record books for many reasons at our college and in our nation. All right, let me tell you what to expect today. It's definitely a lot of the same as what you've seen in the past years, but there's a couple things that will be different, of course, because it's been a different kind of year. So first off, we're going to look back. We're going to look back at what we accomplished. We're going to look back on where we've been. And we're also going to look forward to where we're going and what you could expect in the 2021 academic year and beyond. We're going to do some spotlights on students. I've had the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to visit with many of our students and recent graduates, and that's definitely been the highlight of this process, and you're going to get to see why as you hear directly from our students. We have some goals and accomplishments that we've met, that we've achieved, that we're making great progress on. And we even have some goals and accomplishments, believe it or not, to add to the list. So we're going to talk about those as well. This is a big State of the College address. There's a lot to hear, so stick with us. It's obviously been a huge year. It feels like 7 or so, but stick with us and we'll have fun. In this conversation, we'll also focus on finding a balance. There are a lot of very important issues to discuss right now in our community, our college, and our nation, and we'll definitely take the time to address those. But we're also going to take some time to celebrate. It's been a tough year, but we have lots to be proud of and to celebrate here at Lake Tahoe Community College, and we're going to do just that. And finally, I'll do my best to add a little levity to this presentation because I know you may be at home, sitting on your sofa or your desk or your kitchen table, and it might be a little tricky to stay engaged. So we're going to try and make it fun and bring a little edutainment to the table, sharing information, a little learning with a little entertainment. If you need a little bit more of a hook to stay engaged, we've hidden some Easter eggs throughout this presentation. So there's some things that you could tune into where you could get some goodies and maybe even join a club. So be sure to listen carefully. All right, let's start off with the celebration. As I share with you, we have a lot to celebrate at Lake Tahoe Community College, despite the abundant obstacles all around us. And what I want to share is that I'm going to highlight a couple of these celebratory moments to start, but do know that they're going to progress throughout the entire presentation because there's lots of good news to share. So what's one of the first bits of good news? We recently received a very significant grant to help with building of a forestry program, nearly $500,000, plus another $350,000 from other sources on the way. This will provide training in forest management and restoration to prevent wildfires and ensure the health of our forest. I think we could all agree that this is critically relevant right now. As you're looking out your window, wherever you're at in the state, you're probably seeing smoky skies abound, right? This program is going to lead to jobs in forestry and also CAL FIRE, but more importantly, it's going to meet the critical needs of the Lake Tahoe Basin, Nevada, California, and the Western region, because community is at our core, and we are here to serve our local and regional needs. What about grants? Well, we've had quite a run. There's a lot of data on this slide, and I don't expect you to take it all in, but what I want you to see is that back in 2013-14, we were bringing in about $750,000 million worth of grants annually. The last couple years, we're ranging from $2.5 million to $3 million. Let that set in. That is that much more resources for our students and our community through the great work of all our LTCC staff members. You know who you are. Thank you for your efforts. More good news. Last year, I shared the $100,000 donation that we were getting from the Angel of Tahoe, Lea Maloff, to help add a fleet of vans for not only our student athletes, but also for field trips to four-year institutions and field trips to instructional places out in the outdoor and beyond. Those have arrived to campus. Aren't they a beauty? Unfortunately, it's been a while since we've been able to all have our students together again. But the good news is they're here for us. They help lead our Coyote Caravan. And I look forward to a time in the not too distant future when we're able to pull students together again and travel. Another thing I want to highlight is our soccer program, right? They have tons to celebrate. Since our inception in 2014, our men's and women's team have been to the Final Four 3 different times combined. The last 2 years consecutively for the women's team. I mean, that is unheard of success. But more importantly, what about our students' success with our athletes? We had, count them, 3 women's Scholar All-Americans. Scholar All-Americans first teams here at LTCC. We also had 2 male students that had 4.0 GPAs during the soccer season, right? These are the epitome of student athletes. I want to talk about our wilderness education and outdoor leadership program, which has seen significant growth and enhancement in recent years due to the leadership of our new full-time faculty member, Clinton Culp. On this graph, you'll see some data about the results of the number of students served in each quarter. So historically, in winter term, we had ranged from about 150 to 250 students served. This winter, even with late March COVID cancellations, we served 452 students. I think that is really amazing, and it speaks to how we are serving the needs of our local community. And so again, I want to highlight all the faculty and staff members that support this program under the leadership of Clinton Culp. This is some video from an ARI class that I was able to take this year with Dean Brad Deeds. And I can tell you, I was just so impressed with the level of professionalism, the risk management protocols, the instructional elements that were provided in the program. But most importantly, what we could all learn from is when I enrolled, I got a message from Clinton that said, hey, here's what you could expect in your course. When I took 2 courses, it said, hey, if you take these other 2 courses, you'll be on your path to this certificate. I got a separate communication that said, you took this course, you may be interested in this one. The point is, we all could do better of targeting our students that are showing interest in our area, in our discipline, and engage them to get more involved in taking our classes and eventually pursuing a certificate and/or degree. All right, on to the Lea Maloff University Center. We opened this beautiful facility through a record-breaking donation here in fall of 2018, and I wanted to let you know that it's starting to bear some fruit. First, most notably, Sierra Nevada University, who's been our partner since 2016, has served 38 students, with 20 of those receiving bachelor's degrees by this time. And so that is making a huge difference for students who now have access to bachelor's degrees face-to-face in the South Shore of Lake Tahoe. I also want to speak about our partners, Brandman University. It's a newer partner that came on board in September 2018, but they have now granted 9 degrees ranging from bachelor's degrees to teacher credentials to master's in teacher ed, including our very own Leslie Amato, who graduated this past year. These degrees are making a difference in students' lives. But what about some of our students? This is one of our students, Leah, in our incarcerated student program, and she has a most compelling story to share. Let's hear from Leah.
Hey, I'm Leah. I go by Leah, and I'm from Ethiopia originally. I came here because I got married. I found myself in a very abusive relationship. I found myself in prison because I wanted to defend myself against an abusive man. That's where I heard about the college opportunities, and that's where I found out about Lake Tahoe Community College. I found myself in a really great position. It is challenging, obviously. The prison environment is not the easiest environment to be in. I did earn my AA in 2018. Currently, I am accepted and I'll be starting a bachelor's program in sociology in the spring. It is a community effort, definitely. One thing I learned is that in these situations, community support helps. The help that I got from LTCC is what had enabled me to just be here today, right now.
What a compelling story by one of such of our successful students. We're joined here today by Leah. Although she has graduated with her associate's degree, she hasn't yet had that authentic on-campus LTCC experience. So we're super excited to have you here today on campus. And I understand you're taking your associate's degree and you're looking to go on to the next step?
Yes.
Where are you seeking to go to school?
I'm going to Sacramento State University. I will be studying sociology.
Then why did you choose sociology?
Earning my social science from LTCC opened up a lot of doors to things that I'm actually fascinated with, and it gave me a purpose. It's an area that I came to love, and so I'd like to further my education in that department.
Nice. Well, congratulations on behalf of everyone at LTCC. We're very proud of your success, and we look forward to seeing you successfully transfer on to Sacramento State and everything that your future entails. And so I want to kind of officially present you with your Tahoe Community College degree. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. And since you already had a degree to go in that graduation cover, we put a little something special in that graduation cover for you. So if you want to open it up and take a peek. So that's a $1,000 scholarship check to help get you off on the right foot at Sacramento State from all of us here at LTCC. What an amazing story that we could all be proud of. There's so many folks within and beyond the incarcerated student department that led to Leah's success, and she is off to great places thanks to all of you. So we had a little celebration. There's more to celebrate, but before we go forward, I want to take some time to take a look back and reflect on 2020 and everything that we've been through. It's obviously been a very challenging year. I know as a young man, when I thought about 2020, I thought of, hoverboards and futuristic cars, and none of those things really materialized this year. I would say 2020 has kind of been a bit of a disappointment if I think back to what I thought about 2020 as my 8-year-old self. But it has also raised a lot of important issues and challenging issues for us to consider as a society and as a college. So looking back, I want to start at the beginning of 2020. This is actually New Year's Eve. This is me and my wife, Casey. And this is actually back when they gave haircuts. So it was a good time, right? Things seemed the future seemed so promising. The college was on a rise, and we really didn't have an idea of what was in front of us. Shortly thereafter, there started to be these lingering concerns about the coronavirus coming to the U.S., right? Virus now growing faster outside of China. We're hearing a little bit about it, but it wasn't yet dominating the news cycle. And so we continued with life, not quite as normal, but basically continued to move forward. One thing that I did this winter was participate in Tahoe Arts Project's Dancing with the Stars program, where thanks to all of you, we helped raise $30,000. Let that sit in. $30,000 for youth art programs in our community. This is of great importance because Tahoe Arts Project, like many other nonprofits, has been really impacted by COVID-19. And all of us were together, if you could believe it, on Saturday, March 7th. 1,500 of us almost were together in this auditorium. Here's many of you, right? This is a bunch of our LTCC staff members. You got your grease outfits on. And it's just hard to believe that such a short while back, we were getting together in such large groups. This is the following Tuesday. We had an honor roll ceremony. You may remember we were having everyone gel in, gel out with hand sanitizer, but we didn't really have a sense of what was upon us. Fast forward to the next day, NBA season is suspended. And that's the first time it really triggered to me, wait, this is a $1 billion industry that just canceled its season. What's going on? Where is this going to take us? And then before you knew it, everything was shutting down. The news articles were ramping up. And we started talking about how are we going to complete winter quarter? Can we complete winter quarter? And I remember the first time we had a conversation about the idea of moving finals week up a week. And I think I was almost laughed out of the room with that idea. But then just 3 or 4 short days later, we realized that that was going to be required if we were going to have any chance of finishing the winter quarter the way we started it. And so, as you know, finals week was pushed a week forward. I want to give a special thank you to our faculty for their flexibility dealing with the finals week pushing forward. but also our students, right? How difficult to be a student. All of a sudden, your final is 1 week upon you. And we basically slid under the wire. Well, not quite. Then Governor Newsom came in, shut us down that Thursday evening. I know many of us remember it very clearly, but we did get most of our finals done, wrapped up a bunch of the quarter online. A couple of finals got left behind on Friday, but we found alternate experiences for those students, and we got winter quarter in the books. The good news of that, the silver lining, is it gave us a 2-week spring break to start thinking how we would pivot and how we would move to a virtual campus. But let me assure you, as everyone knows, that March, that was a long March. I mean, I remember having management meetings on Saturday nights. It felt like we were trying to answer decisions around the clock. There was all kinds of uncertainty. And so when we were rolling into March, we were feeling pretty positive. By the time we were pulling into April, we were hurting a bit. But it was a unique year, right? The calendar was a little off this year, right? It was a leap year. We had 29 days in February, I think about 300 or so in March, and then it just felt like years in April. But we did persist. We ended up moving hundreds of employees to remote work through the great efforts of our technology department and our supervisors and our staff. Maybe your stand-up desk was suddenly on the ironing board instead. But we did it. We made that shift. But it wasn't perfect, right? Nothing is seamless, and definitely a huge shift like that. And we had some growing pains as we were figuring out remote work. And I got a fun video here that I think will share many of our experiences from transitioning to remote work. Let's take a look.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for being here on time. Paul? Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Tyler.
Sorry I'm late. Having a hard time connecting.
1 second. Paul's having a sound issue.
I can't hear you.
Try adjusting your output settings.
Can you hear me?
It's the gear icon.
Tyler, are you on hotel Wi-Fi?
Yeah, why?
Never mind, I got it. I just had to change a few settings.
Great. Maybe we can get started then. Oh, great.
I think your mic is picking up your speakers.
My mic?
Do you have headphones?
You want me to put them on?
No, I want you to smell them. No, I want you to put them on. Hey, Beth.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I had to download a new version of the platform.
You should plan extra time for the updates. There's pretty much one every time.
Sounds like someone just joined.
Hey guys, it's John. I had to call in. I'm stuck in traffic. Have I missed anything yet?
No, it would have been nice for you to join the rest of us, but we'll see you when you get home. All right, while everyone is here, finally, Tyler, do you have that financial report?
Well, it's been the last few weeks updating our books, and I got some great news for you. Schedule from this point last year. We had a great Q1.
We lost Tyler, I think.
Am I frozen?
Hey, Trip, I think we lost Tyler.
Yeah, I know, we lost Tyler.
Hey guys, it sounded like Tyler was cutting out.
We know, John. All right, while we wait on Tyler, why don't we go over all of the reports from... Beth, are you with us?
Oh yeah.
Okay, everyone, I know some of you have to leave soon, but I just wanted to go over a couple of the queries before. Okay, excuse me. My wife's out of town this week. Daddy's, I'm so sorry. Okay, you just spilt grape juice on the carpet. Daddy is in a meeting. Tyler, can you go over the numbers one more time, please?
I thought Beth had an adjustment. Hey, Beth.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that's my iTunes.
Hey guys, hang on. I'm gonna join in. Hey, what platform are you guys on? Skype? FaceTime?
It's in the invite.
Oh, never mind. I see it. It's right there in the invite.
Okay, now I can see everybody.
Let's reschedule and let's just do a regular old conference call, okay? Paul, can you have David send out the 9-digit passcode?
I heard you.
Yeah, he's been here the whole time.
All right, everybody. I'll see you later.
So did that resonate with anyone? I mean, that's never happened, right? So, it was a tough transition, but I'm still really proud of what we accomplished. Speaking of which, what about enhanced virtual education, right? So we quickly shifted, we brought classes online, we used traditional distance education, but we also expanded enhanced virtual education to make sure we met make sure we met the needs of our students, that they had greater opportunity for one-on-one contact, virtual face-to-face, and greater engagement. And before you knew it, our very own Phyllis Schaefer became the Bob Ross of community college education. And we were putting all kinds of courses online that we didn't think were possible to teach in a distance format just months beforehand. I know many of our staff and faculty have seen this, but I want to share this with our broader community. So there's actually a lot of technology that is now supporting our distance education. For instance, this tool, Labster. As you can see, our students are able to complete their science labs in a fully virtual environment. And you can see it's actually very informative and educational. So these are the type of things that we're doing to improve our instructional efforts. But we're also improving our online student services efforts. You could meet with a counselor via Cranium Cafe. You could get online tutoring support, online research assistance. So there's a number of things now that we do well in a virtual environment in support of our students. But what about campus? What was happening on campus this whole time? Well, if you took a trip to campus, which I know many folks probably haven't even been on campus since March, you were greeted by our security staff. They took your temperature. There were strict social distancing rules put into place. But if you want to see a little bit more, let's take a tour with our very own Danny Masalonis. Danny, take it away.
Hello everybody and welcome to Lake Tahoe Community College. My name is Danny Masalonis and I work in Student Services One Stop. Come follow me. Hand sanitizers ready? So as you walk into the building, this is one of our security, Alberto, and you'll be checking me in. Hi Alberto.
Hey Dan, you have your ID?
Yeah.
And can I get a quick phone number?
Sure.
Alright. And what area will you be visiting?
I'll be working in the Student Services One Stop. Thank you. So after you've checked in, we go into the campus. So here's our office. We are essential employees, so we still have to service our students one way or another. So this here is my workstation. This is where we answer phone calls from students and also help students register via email. If our students need additional information or just have general questions about campus or talk to a counselor, they can do that through Cranium Cafe.
Hey Coyotes, so that's our job here every day at the college, Monday through Fridays. So hopefully we will see you in person, face to face. And in the meantime, enjoy your day. Thanks.
Thanks, Danny. I hope to see you face to face with all our LTCC staff and students sometime in the future. I want to take this opportunity to give a special shout out to all our essential employees who have been working diligently on campus during this time. Without their efforts, none of us could do our jobs virtually to support our students in instruction, student services, and everything else it takes to run this college. So it felt like for a bit that we kind of had COVID figured out, right? We had it figured out, but then suddenly things started getting a little bit more complicated. The health crisis suddenly turned into an economic crisis as we had record unemployment. So we had figured out COVID from an educational standpoint, but now new and unforeseen challenges were presenting themselves. This also revealed to us that there was many inequities in how different communities were experiencing COVID. Specifically, our communities of color were significantly impacted by COVID at a greater degree than their white counterparts, both with hospitalizations and deaths. This was due to inequities in healthcare. This was due to high-risk work environments that these employers were required to work in. And this was really revealing underlying problems that had always existed, but COVID had put a spotlight on them. Next, America watched for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There was a pause that was happening in the country right then, right? We were on lockdown. People had time to pay attention and reflect. And finally, it is my belief and my hope that America couldn't turn away from this historic violence directed at our African American communities. That now we must stand up and that this time must be different. But it wasn't just an isolated incident. As we know, our history has been plagued with this violence towards African Americans. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and countless others were also having their lives taken. As a community, many of us said, enough is enough. Our board of trustees our 5-member elected official board, stepped up early as one of the first community college boards in the entire state and said, we do not support this. We're going to take a stand against it. They approved this resolution condemning the death of Mr. George Floyd, but also committing to stand together against institutional racism and systematic oppression. They supported us as we worked with students to host an evening of remembrance and a call to action for our community. About 100 individuals joined us that night. It was pouring rain, there was a pandemic, but we all felt the need to come together because we knew we'd be better together addressing this issue. Speaking of being together, we worked closely with our local Black Lives Matter movement, and we joined to discuss how we could be better, what actions must we take, and we also took time to reflect for 8 minutes and 46 seconds as we kneeled in an extended moment of silence in honor of Mr. George Floyd and all who have lost their lives in similar ways. I was particularly proud of our students during this moment. They were speaking out, they were leading, all this while being faced with a deadly pandemic, losing jobs, economic crisis, and focusing on their studies. All 3 of these students pictured here graduated that spring. I mean, the class of 2020, there's really no class quite like them for what they were able to overcome. Completion was in crisis. Our fire academy and our dental assisting program had required face-to-face elements that needed to be conducted so they could get their certificates and get into the workforce. I'm proud to say that we were able to deliver that in a safe manner. Many of these students are now out there working, helping fight fires in our state, and there's many programs throughout the state that were not as lucky as ours. But finally, a bright spot, graduation 2020. It was also like no other commencement ceremony before, but this Coyote Caravan brought life and festivity and a needed moment of celebration. Let's take a look.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this task and don't ask why. It's not a question.
Class of 2020, against all odds, we made it. Wow, class of 2020, what a resilient bunch. And I want to talk to you a little bit about resilience in a COVID era and all the way that LTCC and its employees stepped up to support our students. Now it was a challenging time. None of us asked for this, right? I mean, as a leader and all of us as staff, I'm sure we would appreciate going back to fall of 2019. Life was easier then. But this is one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite books. And what it really gets at is this idea is it's not up to us to choose the times that we live in or the cards that we're dealt, but how we're going to respond to them. And I'm really proud to share all the different ways that LTCC responded in support of its students. We know, and I've shared this slide many a times, that there are barriers to access that our students face day in and day out. But now with COVID, suddenly personal technology, internet access, even a quiet place to study and engage in their coursework became barriers for our students. But the good news is we're continuing to break down barriers of access at this college, and we've made good progress. So let me share with you what we've done. First, we opened up this distribution center for our students to ensure their student needs were met. We provided Chromebooks, Wi-Fi hotspots, food pantry items, art supplies, experiment kits for sciences, lending library books, whatever students needed to continue their education remotely. And when that wasn't enough, we expanded Wi-Fi into our parking lot so students could come in, work safely in their cars, and get access to high-speed internet. We even had drive-through registration events where you could come in and get support getting registered, getting questions answered about financial aid, whatever you needed to get enrolled and get to the next step. And we did this because LTCC cares. One thing that was provided last spring was more than $50,000 worth of grants to students. Out of a $174,000 allocation, we supported nearly 100 students in spring. And guess what? We have another application period this fall. Students could find out more at the following website. Staff, please make sure your students in need know about this opportunity because we want them to stay engaged and in school and making progress toward that certificate or degree. Because in this economic crisis, you're going to need it now more than ever. So I get a couple questions about this. One is, how do we afford all this? So one thing that I want to do to kind of calm any concerns is let you know that we've actually received a significant amount of funds from both the federal government and the state government to help do allocation of resources to students, provide for Chromebooks and hotspots, do training of faculty with distance ed. So we're using these resources to help offset these investments in our students and our campus and our community. The other question that I get answered a lot is, Jeff, when are we coming back to work? Or if it's students, they're usually like, Jeff, can we come back to school soon? And so I did what every good college president does. I took out my magic 8-ball. Unfortunately, the answer I got was can't predict now. And that's the challenge that we're faced with. There is so much uncertainty in our world. But I want to share with you what I am certain about so you could start to look forward to 2021. And I will reflect that our early decision late last April about summer and fall courses being predominantly online put us in a great position to serve our students. We are going to continue to make early decisions when and where we can. So first off, remote work will continue through the remainder of the calendar year 2020 as it is right now. Secondly, winter quarter will mirror fall quarter with an emphasis on distance education and enhanced virtual education. Spring quarter is still a little up in the air. We will make decisions on or before early 2021. We will also bring back our employees in a phased approach, right? That's the big question. How are we going to come back? When are we going to come back? We do not have all those answers, but we'll bring them back in a phased approach. There will be adequate notice. There will be good planning for safety, and we'll definitely bring back our employees prior to bringing back our students, right? Because we're going to need to transition this over time. The other thing that I commit to is that LTCC is not just going to open its doors and go back to how things were immediately in fall of 2018. We will probably operate as a modified closed campus for the foreseeable future. So I know there are other questions, and I will just share with you that as I get the answers, I'll share them with you. But unfortunately, the crystal ball is also a little murky right now. Finally, on the positive news front, I want to let you know that we have a boatload of personal protective equipment here at LTCC. So when it is time to come back, we'll have the PPE and the other supplies and materials we need to protect our staff and students. All right, 2020, what a year, right? And not over yet. I want to talk about one of our core values here at Lake Tahoe Community College. And it's that idea, when you think about LTCC, never forget that one of those C's is for community. And community is at our core at LTCC. And I'm going to highlight to you a couple of partnerships and efforts that we are doing to be better together with our community. But let me assure you, there are so many highlights of why community is at our core throughout this entire presentation. So first off, we are hosting El Dorado County's only mass COVID testing center. We're doing this because we know it's important to our community and our region, and it's the right thing to do, and we will continue to do it for as long as needed. That is one way we're keeping community at our core. We've been a long-standing partner with the Greenway Trail construction, and it is finally coming to reality as it's connecting many of our neighborhoods and communities via bike trails, including one that comes right through our campus so students and staff alike can come to campus. This is another way we're better together when we partner with our community. What about trash? This is one of the big issues right now in Lake Tahoe. And it's not only part of the local news, you're hearing it all the way from down in San Francisco. People are recognizing that the pandemic, coupled with over-tourism, is leading to a trash crisis in the South Shore. Well, I want to share with you that there are a number of nonprofits that are taking this on, and we're happy to partner with them where possible. One of them is Clean Up the Lake. This is a nonprofit that I'm very interested in. They are doing a 72-mile cleanup around Lake Tahoe both this summer and next, and they are making a difference. And you'd be surprised how much trash they could find on a single dive. I'd have the opportunity to go out on a couple of scuba dives recently, and what I've seen, it's concerning. Despite the pristine beauty of our lake from the surface, when you dive down and get underneath, you notice that it's littered with invasive species and trash and other challenges. And this is much a metaphor for our current society. Sometimes things look good on the surface, but as you dig deeper, there's a lot of concerns. So what are we doing here at LTCC? Well, I'm pleased to share that last Friday, more than 100 LTCC employees were part of a community-wide cleanup. And we didn't just go to the typical spots, right? We went to some of the highest need spots in this community in partnership with the Clean Tahoe program. We also focus on our underserved communities as part of our equity efforts. And we are making a difference in being part of this trash solution here in Lake Tahoe. Finally, on this note, I want to share with you this video that was captured. That's a coyote. And of course, we are the coyotes here at LTCC. But look who it is partnering with. Wait, it's a badger. The coyotes and badgers actually team up together to hunt to better their chances. The coyote can chase its prey down with speed, while the badger can dig up the little animal that burrows underground. This is how sometimes two different organizations, two groups with different missions can come together and be better together. And I want to assure you that community will remain at our core here at LTCC. So I've talked about the Lake Tahoe community. I also want to talk about the campus community. And I really believe that where possible, we should build a sense of community between our coworkers. And something that we did last year, it started off just to be sort of fun, is we started Jelly of the Month Club, right? Sounds like a silly thing. This was something that I did in recognition to a number of the workers that were working all the way on the last day of 2019 to thank them for their service and their dedication. And pre-pandemic, this was just a fun way to get jelly. But then fast forward to April 1st, we had been locked down, no one had seen anyone, and suddenly jelly started showing up on people's doorsteps that were in the club. And the response was amazing because people want to be part of a community. They want to be part of a tribe. I love this email. In the midst of the greatest worldwide pandemic in 100 years, the Jelly of the Month Club came to my door with a jar of apple cinnamon jelly. And again, each month, it was a way to reach out to staff members. They got a letter from the president's office, along with some jelly or even peanut butter one month, because we do need balance in our life. But again, it's about finding this sense of community. And so many people have asked, how do I get in the Jelly of the Month Club? Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a new club that you want to be part of. And this is one of the Easter eggs here in this presentation. It's the Mug Club, and it's really about highlighting our better togetherness here at LTCC in our community. And I see so many of you on Zoom. We don't get to be together, but you see you drinking coffee or tea or water in the morning. I want to be able to salute my mug to yours and say hello. So if you're interested in joining the Mug Club, at the end of this presentation, you're going to get a progress updates on our goals. Give that a read and find the Easter egg in there, and it will tell you how to join this Mug Club. I look forward to having our community, our friends, and of course our employees all being part of the Mug Club. All right, we've had a little fun. We've looked back, we've celebrated. I now want to focus on some student achievement data. And folks, I got to warn you, there's a lot of it. But guess what? It is really good news. As educators, we often look at dozens of data points from student success to enrollment trends to budgetary details. But in collaboration with the Board of Trustees, we've identified some data points that are really in the center of the bullseye. Our Board of Trustees members have participated in the Trustee Fellowship in partnership with the Aspen Institute, and they've identified a number of these indicators that we need to pay close attention to. You see them listed here on the screen, but let me dig into them each a little more deeply. The first group are leading indicators. These are indicators that are predictive of our future success. They let us know, based on what we're doing right now and the results we're seeing, how will our future look. It's always better to lead than to lag, and you'll see we're doing a great job leading. So first off, term 1 to term 2 persistence. This is one of the greatest indicators of eventual college success. And as you can see, the last 2 years, we've made good progress with 80% of our students progressing from term 1 to term 2. But we need to look deeper, right? We need to dig below the surface. What about our first generation students? As you can see, they're not performing at the same level of all other students. So we need to work harder to support these students who are first in their family to come to college and help keep them engaged so they could eventually succeed. As we continue to look at disaggregated data, I looked at our Latinx students. And I looked at this group because they're our largest minority group on campus. And I'm pleased to report, as you'll see, they are outperforming their all-student group cohort peer. These first-time, full-time students, good news, right? So that's a key leading indicator of persistence. Another really critical indicator is how students do in transfer level English, transfer level math, and most importantly, the combination of both. So this is what percentage of matriculants are completing transfer level English in their first year. And as you can see, we've been steadily increasing with almost half of them there. We're getting very close to half. Math, we had a significant improvement, right? Nearly doubled our cohort from year to year with students who are completing transfer level math in year 1. And so what's the result? Now we have nearly 20% of our students completing transfer level math and English in year 1. Why does this matter? Because this is a great indicator of future graduation. How do we get here? I mean, I have a lot of ideas. I think it's a combination of many things. It's the guided pathways efforts. It's our counseling efforts. It's our promise program. It's Assembly Bill 705. And it's just a continued and enhanced focus on instruction, how we improve outcomes for these students. All these things are making a difference, and the data shows. And what's great about these leading indicators is that they tell us that we're going to have more graduates in the years to come. I'll also point out that you see the statewide average usually hovers around 10, 13% for the last couple years. So 19%, although it doesn't sound like a huge number, is definitely outperforming many of our peers statewide. So lagging indicators, these look back. They're important, they're summative, right? They tell us how we've done, but they don't predict our future. So we have to look back and see how we've done on timely graduation. And we see timely graduation, which we define as 3 years, about 30% of our students are graduating in that time frame. And the good news is, as you see those green lines, it's aligned with the national average. We're a little above, but we can do better. The good news is those leading indicators tell us that we're well on our way to improving. The question I always get asked is, how's enrollment, Jeff? And so I want to tell you a little bit about that. First, our pipeline. These are first-time, full-time students. As you can see, the pipeline has been consistently increasing since 2017, and 2020 still has time and room to grow. So that is our future. What about how we're serving our local community? Well, our capture rate, right? How many of our LTUSD graduates are coming to LTCC? It's on or around 30% the last couple years. But what's most notable in this graph is that both 2018 and 2019, a greater percentage of those students, nearly 90% both years, are taking a full-time course load. And that is a good indicator that they're going to move on, graduate, and succeed. How many students are we serving? Well, we've had big growth in the last 3 years. We're down a little bit in 2019, but that's to be expected due to COVID, and we canceled many of those courses. And finally, how did that impact our full-time equivalent students? As you know, and as I've shared, 2018-19 was a high water year for us. It was a great year. We had huge enrollment growth. This year, I want to let you know that in winter of 2020, we are on track for another 6% growth. That was our trajectory. Now, of course, it was slowed down due to COVID. But the good news is, through the rules of the Chancellor's Office, they've provided us with an emergency allowance. And as you'll see, this bright green element of the graph allows us to count the students that we were on track to serve pre-COVID, and for our budget and our other indicators to be based on that. So we're still doing good work, but now that we are in a COVID era, we need to find how to retain these students in these challenging times. I have some other metrics to share. This is the vision for success. This is part of a statewide initiative. These are their goals. Here's our local components of those goals that were approved in May 2019. And I want to let you know how we're doing. And again, the news is good. We're doing well. We've already accomplished goal 1, which was to increase graduates by 20%. We're already up to 26%, even though we have 2 more years to achieve this goal. So good news there. Secondly, certificates also intended to grow by 20%. We have not achieved this goal, and in fact, we've had some challenges, but we are focusing on an auto award system to ensure students who complete certificates get them awarded, and we're also recognizing that COVID did impact many of our face-to-face certificates this past spring. The third one was about increasing the number of students who receive an associate degree for transfer by 35%. Well, guess what? We're up 72% since our baseline year, right? Pretty amazing progress. We also have a goal to increase the number of our transfer students. We've made progress there, but we're going to need to increase the number significantly to achieve the goal in the next 2 years. Here's another goal that we met. This is about decreasing the number of units that students have on their transcript when they complete and/or transfer. The reason for that is we don't need students to have extraneous units that cost them time and money from getting to their ultimate goal. The goal was to get 9% decrease in units. I'm pleased to share that we have done that since 16-17. This is a result of our guided pathways and scheduling efforts, and this is doing right by students. The next and final goal is about achieving a living wage. As you can see, we haven't made a lot of movement on this goal, so it needs to be a continued area of focus for us. But I'm pleased to report that historically the data has only looked at California, but starting next year it will include neighboring states such as Nevada, which I think will more accurately reflect our success in students finding their way into the labor market. So I know I shared a lot of data there, and the reason I did that is because we are a data-driven organization. And also we have a lot of good news and we've met a lot of goals, so it's worth sharing and celebrating. But if I was to sum it up, I would really sum up our vision in this slide. This is from the Aspen Institute's College Excellence Program, and it's really what I would like to see in LTCC and what I'm already seeing the beginnings of, where learning is taking place and it's rigorous and it's inclusive and it's aligned to transfer and employer expectations. Completion is happening. Students are getting the degree or certificate of their choosing. Students are transferring on with the skills they need. Students are getting well-paying jobs in their desired field. But finally, it's connected all via equity, where our students of color and our low-income students are having transfer, completion, and learning at a level that is equitable to their peers. All right, let's look at our local goals. We set a 2-year goal time frame from 2019 to 2021, and I want to let you know what we've completed, what was successful, and what's next. So let's take a look back and a look forward. Goal 1 was about reimagining financial aid and also assisting in growing student employment. So here's what we accomplished. We rolled out Campus Logic, which allowed for paperless financial aid verification and quicker turnaround of timeframes for students to get access to financial aid. We rolled out a federal loan program along with loan counseling. Here you see a student getting some financial aid support through one of our drive-through registration events. So is any of it working? Well, guess what? It's making a difference. The uptake rate, the number of students that are taking advantage of Pell, is a very important indicator. Our goal was to increase this by 5%. We did by 10%, having our highest year in recent history. What this means is that of the students who qualify for Pell, 85% of them are taking advantage of it. And I'll tell you that this statistic puts us at the top of the class amongst our peers throughout the state. But I would say there's always better that could be done, right? What about those 15%? Why aren't they taking advantage of Pell? But more importantly, how do we grow the number of students that qualify for Pell? Our work study numbers are up, more students, more dollars. If we get more FAFSAs completed, we could get more students eligible for work study. But we also made a very bold goal about Coyotes at Work in serving more student employees. Well, I'm here to tell you that we blew the roof off this goal. We employed 73 more students this past year with more than $200,000 additional earned for these students. So we are making a difference because we know these students who have student employment on campus are more likely to succeed in their coursework and eventually complete. So where were the changes? Well, we went from 117 total student positions to 190 total. These are students that have an enrollment average of more than 6 units, and the growth was in the area of aides, tutors, promise, equity, and security. We are serving more students, and this is helping them work and learn all at LTCC. So what are the results? Well, we've talked about an important leading indicator of transfer level math and English. Here it's disaggregated by Pell recipients. And what we see is that our students that have socioeconomic challenges but have financial aid support are actually outperforming their all student group peers. Financial aid is making a difference. So on to our next goal. A goal that's making a huge difference on this campus was building out our Lake Tahoe College Promise program. We launched a Promise orientation in 2019, and then again, we just hosted our virtual 2021 just a couple days back. We rolled out Promise sections, 13 different courses, some of them with multiple sections that were targeted specifically for Promise students. So that way they could learn in a cohort with their peers that they know, and we could easily touch base with our faculty to see how our Promise students were doing. We also launched the first year experience course called College Success for Promise students. 124 students took part in this course in predominantly fall quarter, but a little winter quarter as well. And this provided a space for regular check-ins with those students, but also for them to get important lessons on academic success, personal growth, time management, financial aid. I want to thank everyone who was responsible for making this course possible, but a special thanks to Dr. Scott Lucas for his role in launching this course. So what's happening? It's working. We set a goal to have a 90% term 1 to term 2 retention rate for Promise students, and look at the data. We made it, right? This is an amazing data point that many colleges throughout the state and the nation would be very proud of. But what does this tell us? It tells us that Promise is important because the non-Promise students are only persisting at 67%. So as we move forward, we need to figure out how to pull more of these students into Promise. We also need to figure out how to keep more of these Promise students full-time from term to term. I'm also excited to share that we had an 81% persistence rate from fall to spring, so from term 1 to term 3. That is a notable achievement for this successful program. All right, you've heard a lot of data about this, but here's another remarkable data point. This is, again, that first year transfer level math and English completion. Look at this. 80% of Promise students completed English at the transfer level. Nearly 40% completed math, and nearly 40% English and math, right? This is a huge predictor of graduation. We are well on our way to producing more timely graduates. So I get it, this is a lot of data. Maybe you want to hear a story. And I would say, who better to share this story than Tyler Macias, one of our first year Promise students. Let's hear his experience. All right, we're here with Tyler, first generation Promise student. We're at the beach. Tyler, thanks for getting me to Lake Tahoe.
Thank you,
thank you. Good to get out here today. So Tyler, you started with us in fall. You're in the Promise program. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I moved in South Lake Tahoe 2016. I got into the community college last year, so this will be my second year. And it's been quite the journey, quite the ride, and I'm excited.
So what degree are you seeking, and what do you want to do?
So I'm seeking psychology. I've worked with kids for a few years now, and I know that's my purpose. Right now I'm just taking it day by day.
What's it like to be a promise student?
I mean, there's nothing really hard about it except that you're gonna have people who care about you on your behind, that's the hard part, and if that's the hard part, you're in a good situation. They help you, whether it's with classes, getting your classes, really everything, man, because it helps you with finance, it helps you stay on task, and you have many people, so it helped me stay on task. Otherwise I probably would have slid off a little bit, but it's definitely a big reason why I'm still here.
Cool. Tell us what your strength is as a student. What are you good at?
I feel overall once I'm motivated, you can't stop me. I want to finish this college program because my family's looking up to me. I want to be a role model for my siblings. So it's just a lot. And I just can't let no one down, so I keep going.
So once you decide you're going to get after it, then you're going to get it.
Once I decide.
But you need a little motivation, a little help to get you there.
A little bit. You
mentioned you're a first-generation student. You got siblings who look up to you. What does it mean to you to be a first-generation student? What are you trying to accomplish?
I feel like I had to overcome a lot, and there's a lot where I could have become another statistic and just been down in the gutter. I just want to show myself, show my dad, and show my siblings come on, we can do anything we want, and it's not going to come easy, because if it was easy, anyone can do it, right? So I just want to be that fire for other people too.
What do you need as a student? What do you need from the staff and faculty at LTCC?
Okay. I feel it's nice to have someone on you, and that's why I like Julie so much, is because she'll text me are you taking care of business? Are you doing this, doing that? So I'm all right, I got someone watching over me, I can't let them down. So it's nice to have that person kind of getting at you.
Oh, it's good, nudging you, following up. Right, if you didn't turn something in, letting you know, hey, you didn't get that turned in. Not just from your Promise Navigators, your faculty too, everyone, right?
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to be an LTCC graduate?
100%, yes.
100%. You're certain?
I am 100%
You're
sure.
in.
I'm not 110% sure.
All right,
how about
you heard
that?
it here first, folks, right? 110%, going to be an LTCC graduate, but sometimes needs a little nudge, right? Little nudge, a little support. Well, I got a little something for you. So we know sometimes with school, there's a lot of expenses, even with Promise, right? And you got to kind of balance school and work, and so I got a $1,000 scholarship for you. Right?
Oh, that's dope. All right, for sure.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
All right, so you heard it. Tyler needs a nudge. That's his need. So if you're his faculty member, if you're helping him with his financial aid, give him a nudge. If you give him a nudge, he'll come through for you. So Promise has obviously been very successful. There's more work to do. The what's next for Promise is really seeing if we can continue to maintain these results as we have multiple cohorts come onto campus. And also the Promise program is going to focus on getting some academic progress reports earlier so they could support students earlier before they potentially fall behind, and also identifying any other needs that students have, whether it's food insecurity, technology needs, mental health, so that way we can make sure all those barriers to access are broken down and they can continue to succeed. On to our third goal, guided pathways. This is another goal where we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years. So goal 3 was about enhancing our guided pathways efforts, which we continue to make great progress on. So this last fall, we had our Coyote Kickoff event, which is an opportunity for students to come together, meet their faculty, learn about degrees or certificates, learn about the different meta majors. This was a time when we were all able to be together, right? And I look forward to doing this again. We are doing something that will be a little bit more physically distanced, not quite the same effect, tomorrow, Friday, September 11th, for students to come and get prepared for the start of the fall 2020 quarter. But again, it's these engagements for students to explore potential majors and really just get to know the staff and faculty that helps get them off on the right foot. We also made some commitments around our schedule. One of our stated outcomes was to roll out a combined winter-spring schedule, and we did just that. And I will tell you that I think that made a huge difference keeping students enrolled in spring quarter. Because if you remember in March, when it would have been time to register in our past practices, we were in lockdown. But instead, due to that early schedule, Many of these students have registered as far back as November or December and stuck with us and kept their classes. But the schedule isn't just about having it combined. It's about having it be predictable, about it being Tahoe clear, about students getting the classes they need when they need them. And it's also about it being easy to navigate and of interest to students. Here behind me, you see this lookbook that showcases our current digital schedule. In addition to this, there's a dashboard where students could search the courses that they need and pick out their appropriate courses. We also made progress on getting our meta majors as one of our CCC apply options. So now when students start college, they don't have to choose a degree or certificate. If they're not yet sure, but maybe they know they just want to study somewhere in the arts, they could join the Arts, Language, and Humanities meta major to start their academic journey. This will make a big difference as students start to narrow down their path as they come to LTCC. We hosted some meta major events last year, most notably through the leadership of Dr. Beth Marinelli-Laster. And these events were really about exposing students to what meta major is right for them and then making the career connections with those. And this is continued important work as we help students connect degrees to jobs. We also continue to build out tutoring because we know that makes a difference for students. We rolled out embedded tutoring in a number of our math and English courses. And one of our outcomes was to develop a guided pathways dashboard. And we did just that. And in this dashboard, many of us have data at our fingertips about applicant funnel, transfer, persistence, student services contacts. So I want to give a special recognition to Dr. Elizabeth Ballant and the institutional effectiveness team for putting all this data together so we can make informed decisions and see how our students are doing. Moving forward, we're going to be participating in the California Guided Pathways Project. And this is something that we'll do for the next 3 years as we really look to improve our pathways, improve the student experience, and move this guided pathway success at scale across our institution. Another key element in the Guided Pathways program is the Program Mapper tool. Let's hear more about this unique tool from Dr. Michelle Risden.
We're super excited about the work that Katie and Fatima and the counselors have done to create Program Mapper. They have built out all of the degrees and certificates and even the employable skills certificates with a program map according to the meta majors. We really think this is going to help students, and it's super easy to navigate and a lot of great information. So students can just click into a meta major. They can see what that meta major is all about. They can check out the degrees and the certificates and the employable skills certificates. And even at the bottom of this page on the meta majors, they can look at all of the different career opportunities that might be affiliated with the fields under the meta major. If a student knows they want to check out a degree, they just click into that degree. It shows them more information about the degree, including all of the outcomes, more specific career information and job placement information, including all the jobs that degree might lead to. And especially great is that it provides them the pathway through that degree so they can complete in a 2-year pattern. It shows them the core classes, the general education courses, and any electives they might need to take. What's also really great about the Program Mapper is students can click on a course and get information about that course. They can check out the map in a map view or a list view, and they can even print it out.
All right, isn't that an impressive tool? So it's still in draft form. It requires some confirmation and some work to roll it out to our students. But this is a tool that will be available to students in this upcoming academic year, and it's one of our key what's next for Guided Pathways. Additionally, we need to get to auto degree and certificate awarding. It's a critical tool to make sure students are getting credit for the degrees and certificates that they earn. We need to continue to improve our points of contacts with students, whether that's early academic progress reports or some other early alert system, so we make sure we capture students when they're having challenges before it's too late. Also, one thing that I want to introduce is this concept of name, strength, need. So you heard a little bit about this from Tyler. And it's the idea that we make an individual connection with every student where you know their strength, what they're good at, but you also know what they need. And I get it. I'm not going to know that about every student, and you're not going to know it about every student. But I want every student to have at least one LTCC employee that knows that about them, that personal connection to campus. And this isn't just the job of the faculty. This isn't just the job of the student services professionals. This is all of our jobs to make sure we make that personal connection with students. This is Dr. Victor Rios. He was our convocation speaker back in 2017, and he reminded us, instead of thinking of students as at risk, to think of them as at promise. And he shared some research this past year that I found very interesting. It was this idea of emotionally guided pathways. And specifically, low-income students, it's not that they don't need informational support, but they prefer and require greater emotional support, that connection. And so we need to know this and make that connection with our students. And I would contend to you that knowing a student by name, knowing their strength, and knowing their need is one way to develop that connection so you could support them. Let me assure you that I'm already texting with Tyler. I'm following him on Instagram. I know he needs a nudge. That's his need. And I'm going to ensure he walks across that stage. And it's all of our jobs to support students like that. So next, I want to introduce Christine, a star student with a compelling story who's on track to graduate this fall. Hey everyone, we're here with Christine Buchman. You may recognize her as current LTCC student, 2020 scholarship recipient, and a 4-time President's Honor Roll. Christine, great to see you here.
Thank you, good to see you too.
So we want you to kind of share with everyone, tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, how you came to LTCC. Who's Christine?
Well, I started winter 2019. It had been about 20 years since I had last gone to college. It seemed that I could earn nothing but debt no matter how hard I worked. And cleaning houses for the rest of my life wasn't my life goal. I wanted something more. I was inspired by several different people to get back into school. The thing that made that possible at all was the free tuition, the tuition waiver. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to afford college.
So one of the things that I asked you about is to share with us, what your strengths are as a student and what your needs were as a student.
I think for strengths is that I'm extremely determined and stubborn. I will give it everything that I've got. Fall of 2020, I lived out of my car for that semester and I got to camp around Tahoe. Things like having just the microwave at the bookstore or the hot water to make my coffee, that was huge. Those little things that you don't realize make a difference to those kinds of students. My biggest fear at that exact moment was food. I want to say the food pantry was amazing. They were super kind. They ask you, what is it you want? What do you like to eat? And I felt like I still had dignity at the end of the day. I decided I wanted to get my nursing degree. I want to be of service. I want to feel really good about my job. At the end of this fall, I will have all the credits that I need for prerequisites. And I've applied to Cal State Chico and Cal State Sacramento.
Nice.
And I'm hoping that January of this year, I will be starting on that path.
You shared with us that your strength is determination, and your story definitely shows that. I mean, you have overcome so many obstacles, so we're all very proud of you. And you also shared with us that your need was financial support. And so I'm excited to actually share with you that we have a $1,000 scholarship check for you to help you complete at LTCC and get to the CSU of your choice. And so we're proud of you, and we know that you're determined and that you're going to complete and make us all proud.
Thank you so much. If it weren't for COVID, I'd hug you right now. Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for you guys. I had no idea that going into college, this was the kind of support I would get from this institution. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Christine and one of her friends that helped encourage her to come back to LTCC. And as you can see, such a compelling story. 4-time President's Honor Roll recipient. I knew her as a student, but really did not know her needs, know her challenges with housing insecurity. And this is what I'm talking about, knowing our students at a deeper level so we could truly support them. All right, our fourth goal was about improving the quality of our distance education. Last fall when we created this goal, I had no idea how relevant this goal would be to us today. The good news is the timing is right and we've made a lot of progress. First off, I want to share with you our peer online course review that has been set up. We have 8 faculty now trained to be pokers. And basically they're using the online education initiative rubric on presentation, interaction, assessment, and accessibility in these courses to help improve our distance ed courses. We are also making progress on rolling out an instructor academy, which will be finalized this fall. about improving and onboarding our new faculty so they could provide the highest quality distance education to our students. In a similar fashion, we have a new onboarding course for our new students, our online students, that shows them how to access Canvas, how to manage their time. And this is something that they take, and when they complete, they get this online student orientation badge to demonstrate that they completed it, but it's really about supporting them and being learners. Also with this grant, we made great progress with recruiting potential students, especially in the areas of career technical education. This is our landing page for our advertisements in the criminal justice program. We also are reaching out to students to be able to do a short-term bookkeeping certificate for 10 months, right? Community is at our core. People need pathways to economic resilience right now. We're also offering short-term cybersecurity certificates. These are all things we're doing to better serve our community during this economic crisis. And there is a lot of great follow-up that happens after these ads to make sure the students find their way to our campus. We've also made great progress by moving toward having Canvas shells for all our classes, regardless of modality. What this does for students, it gives them a predictable place to look to find their syllabus, key course dates, assignments, and other information, regardless of the course modality. What it does for us as an institution is if we ever have to go online due to a weather event or a global pandemic, that we're set up to make that transition. Another exciting development is our progress with Evaluation Kit, which is allowing student, course, and faculty evaluations. Historically, we had about 10% participation when it was the old paper pencil process, but now students are prompted to do the evaluation when they log into Canvas, and we've seen more than 2/3 of students completing these course evaluations, which is great data back to us and the instructor on how to meet students' needs and improve those courses. We've also made progress with badging, where we've created a number of badges that recognize students' work, whether it's a certificate of achievement, employable skills certificate, or an associate's degree that they could post on their LinkedIn profile or in any other form or fashion in a digital way to demonstrate the skills that they've learned at LTCC. On to our next goal, housing. Who would have thought the kind of challenges that 2020 would have brought us with housing? But I will still tell you that I believe moving toward housing was a critical goal for this institution. The reason why, we serve a very underserved population, including former foster youth, housing insecure students, adult learners. We also served our athletes and our international students, such as Tatsu, who was a student that was having a lot of housing challenges before he filled out that housing application that you see pictured here today. Now, of course, we had a challenge in spring due to COVID, and as we look forward, we're going to continue to have challenges as we have to readdress our policies and practices to respond to the new COVID environment. But I will tell you that housing remains critical to supporting and meeting the needs of today's students and our future students. Our next goal was about the planning and designing for the modernization of our campus. As you recall, we got $10 million worth of state matching funds to transform our campus. All the areas in green are the areas that are going to be modernized by this amazing funding source, along with local Measure F dollars. Let's take a closer look to see the areas impacted. First off is our one-stop area, which is, as you can see, now connecting more closely to the commons so students could come in, hang out, fill out paperwork. There's additional space there and additional front service, so we could just enhance our one-stop services to better include financial aid and counseling appointments and things of the like. Then there is a full remodel of the Student Services E-Wing. This includes additional counseling offices, a dedicated transfer center, a promise space, and also moving our Disability Resource Center down to the first floor, which has been a goal going as far back as 2012. On the second floor, we're creating a suite of faculty offices. This actually has 11 faculty offices directly adjacent to our adjunct faculty office. This is something that we could do to bring all our faculty together so there's greater cross-communication and collaboration, also between our full-time faculty and our adjunct faculty. Our science labs are being modernized for greater instructional safety and greater instructional value. And you'll also see a bank of faculty offices and shared lab service space, so there's greater collaboration there across the sciences. Restrooms are moving to an all-gender restroom on that section of campus. We have a technology wing remodel that's going to have flexible spaces and a Genius Bar type approach in our technology department. And our art labs are being upgraded also for additional health and safety and greater modernization. But the main campus isn't the only thing being impacted by Measure F. Our Early Learning Center broke ground this past spring. Tahoe Parents Nursery School has been a program in our community for 61 years. You see their theme, Together We're Better. We believe that, better together, right? The college is stepping up to house the Early Learning Center. It is a key element of our community for many years. And we're excited to have this new facility that has a lot of safety and security elements and some great Early Learning Center instructional design elements located directly adjacent to the Child Development Center. This is an aerial view, and they'll be able to work more closely together across those programs. The Child Development Center is also getting some additional security elements installed this summer, and we will be fundraising through the foundation for a new playground to be shared by both programs between the two facilities. So we are making great progress serving our community and making good use of our Measure F dollars. We also put a focus on advocacy efforts to move toward a Lake Tahoe Basin Public Safety Training Center. A lot of work happened on that this year, including this design that was submitted to the Chancellor's Office in our initial project proposal. This is the type of submission that puts us in line for future state resources, similar to the $10 million that we received last year. We also purchased this 3-story mobile training tower to support our fire academy drills. As you see, it can be transported and then tilt up to be used for live fire and flashover drills. This is a key component of our current fire academy. And our final goal was partnering with the LTCC Foundation to develop a promise endowment and expand scholarships. I want to give you an update on that. At this time, we've decided that going out and trying to launch an endowment during a pandemic and an economic crisis is not the best time. So we're putting that goal aside, but we'll continue to raise money for our Bi-State Promise program. And the foundation is still hard at work. Even without offering a Taste of Gold event this year, many of you, our sponsors, our donors, our staff, stepped up and bought tickets and gave money so we could still raise more than $60,000 in support of the foundation's many goals, including student scholarships. Increasing the number of student scholarships given and the amount given was one of our goals. As you can see, we've made significant progress toward that since 2017. As you've also seen, we've handed out a couple checks today, and we're handing out a couple more before this presentation's over. And so our new total is going to actually be all the way up to $174,000 and 107 different students that benefited from these scholarships. It's truly amazing for those students. So those are how we've done on our 2-year goals. Those goals, for the most part, remain and we'll continue to work on for the next year. While I never anticipated adding more goals to an already big plate, the world now calls for us to revisit some of our goals. So I want to share with you 2 additional goals for the 2020-21 academic year. The first one is about our proactive response to COVID in support of our students, our employees, and our community. I've already shared a lot about this. You see what we're doing, and you can expect for us to continue these efforts for as long as is needed to respond to this crisis. The second goal I want to dig into a bit more deeply. The goal is to serve as a leader in addressing issues of race and equity on campus and in the Lake Tahoe community. I would contend to you that we're starting to be a leader, but there is much more work to be done. This bolded list gives you a high-level overview of some of the efforts that we are going to take on in this upcoming academic year. I'm now going to dig a little bit deeper into each of these. One of these first efforts are our leadership book in common. If you've been to a State of the College address before, you've heard me say leaders are readers. And we do this each year so we could learn together, have a common understanding, and have a common vocabulary. And I can't think of a more important book to read this year than How to Be an Anti-Racist. The author, Kendi, says, "You're either a racist or an anti-racist. There is no such thing as not racist." And I know growing up throughout most of my life, many people have told me I'm not racist. I've probably said it myself. But it's not enough. Now we must all be an anti-racist. We must call out biases when we see them. We must call out our friends and family when they proclaim racist ideas. As educational leaders, we must delve into this work. I get it. It's going to be uncomfortable. But we should embrace that discomfort. When you're at a place of disequilibrium, you're at a place of great opportunity for learning. I've heard in education from fellow educators throughout my career, things like communities of color don't value education. That is a racist idea that does not recognize the racial inequities that have been provided in education and our society for generations and generations. We all must and can do better. At the evening of remembrance and call to action, I invited our community to read this book with us. Now I'm inviting any of you that want to join the book club. Send me an email, subject line leaders or readers, give me your mailing address, and we will get a book in your hands, because this book is so important, and the more people in our campus and community that could read it could be part of our starting an anti-racist movement here in the Lake Tahoe community. All right, I also want to talk to you about work that we'll be doing here on our campus. And I'll contend you that any policy or practice in our institution that leads to disparate outcomes for one or many racial groups is a racist policy or practice. Let that sink in. We must focus on fixing the college, not fixing the students. Our job now is to uncover and dismantle policies and practices that exist in our institution that lead to systematic racism. I look forward to all you joining me on this journey. How are we going to support this effort, right? We all have a lot to learn. The good news is we joined the USC Race and Equity Center and the Community College Alliance with 60 or more colleges in the state to advance racial equity. There's a number of tools that will come out of this in terms of, in addition to our virtual equity resource portal that will be available to all our staff once it's launched. There's a number of e-convenings that we'll be participating in. Here's a very abbreviated list. What you'll see is that these topics are very relevant to our current needs. We have made progress on some of these, but we could certainly get better at all of these. Each e-convening, 5 employees will be invited to participate. And they will not only be trained, but they will be provided with the tools and resources to take that training back to campus. And let me assure you, if you volunteer to go one of these e-convenings, we will hold you accountable to deliver this to campus, because the information is just that critical that we all need to benefit from it. Additionally, we'll be participating in this NAC survey, which is a quantitative survey on campus racial climate designed for institutions such as ours. It's going to look at the students' measures of belonging and inclusion, cross-cultural interactions, and appraisals of institutions' commitment to diversity and inclusion and equity. This will tell us a lot about how our students experience our campus. I am looking forward to the results. I also want to introduce this concept to you, the 70 equity-minded practices for student services, and I would also contend online instruction. This is from Dr. Luke Wood, who is a leader in this field in the state of California. I would encourage you to take time to dig deeper into his work, but I will hit just a couple high points. This idea of be intrusive. Follow up with students. Find out what's going on. What do they need? But at the same time, be flexible and compassionate with their needs, especially now. We're in an unprecedented global pandemic. Let's work with our students to make it happen. Again, dig deeper into this as we all go on this journey to be better at what we do. The other area of focus is in our screening and hiring practices. I want to assure you that our Human Resources Department has a long-standing commitment to having a more diverse workforce. They have made good progress toward this, but we can and must be better. There's numerous studies out there that show that students want to learn from a faculty member that looks like them, that has a similar background as them, and we will continue to focus on this effort. So disaggregation of data, right? One of the best ways we could serve our students is make sure that our underserved students are getting good academic transfer and completion outcomes. So we're back to transfer level math and English. We're looking at our Latinx community. These students, the fall 17, fall 18 cohort, were pretty much in alignment with all students on campus, but look at the big jump in fall 2019, along with the rest of campus, but actually outperforming their all students counterpart. This is important to look at because we need to know that our minority groups are doing as well as or better as other students, and that there is not an achievement gap and that they're not being left behind. I also want to speak to our support of our dreamers. We've been very vocal in this in our news stories, our social media. I put out a personal article to share my feelings on it. We've participated in the Undocumented Student Action Week, which we will again this October. We stand with our Dreamer students because we know they better our community and better our college. So what can we do to help? One thing that we're encouraging all our students to do is register to vote. However you're going to vote's up to you, but we want you to take the time to register to vote. And that's why we're participating in 2 different initiatives with the Secretary of State's office and then also the All-In Campus Democracy Challenge to get voter registration up. We're going to throw a link in that chat. If you need to update your voter registration or add a new one, please do it now. Well, we've covered a lot of ground. As you see, we have a lot to focus on, a lot to celebrate, and a lot to look forward to. I'm going to finish with some celebration of our students and some other good news, because no State of the College address would be complete without a surprise donation. I want to acknowledge the Pipkin Family Foundation, who recently provided us with a $50,000 check in support of student scholarships. You may remember Chet as our commencement speaker from 2018, but I want to let you know that Chet and Jan are committed Lake Tahoe residents. They are building roots here, and they want to help improve our community and support our students. And they're doing just that. They believe in service, and that's why they helped me seed the President's Service Award, which is a scholarship that is focused on not only students that did well academically, but those students that gave a lot to the institution. Maybe they were involved with clubs. They most certainly worked on campus. Maybe they were a student athlete or a student senator. But the students, you know them, that were just always around, always giving back. So our first recipient of the President's Service Award was Brandon Estrada. It was my pleasure to hang out with Brandon the other day and provide him with this award. Let's take a peek and see what Brandon's up to. What's up, LTCC? I'm out here on our soccer pitch with a student that many of you know, Brandon. We just had a good time. It was nice to kick the ball around, move a little bit. Been a while with COVID, huh?
Right? Oh, yeah.
Brandon, why don't you start off? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Tahoe. I graduated from South Tahoe High School. Some coaches down here told me about LTCC, and I was like, you know what, there's opportunity there. I can stay in school, and, you know, first 2 years are free. So my first year, I was on campus, you know, I was getting to know the campus, and I started getting into programs. And I met Sarah, a counselor, actually invited me to the AGS club. And then my second year, I started working in financial aid. Then I went on to security.
You talked about everything that you did, but you're a student athlete for those whole 2 years as well. What was it like being a student athlete, and how did that support you?
Oh yes, being a student athlete, you know, I mean, it was kind of difficult doing school and soccer at the same time, but nonetheless, it took a lot of stress off me, you know, having all those teammates around me. Coaches, and it was fun.
What's your strength as a student, and what do you need as a student? What do you need from us?
I believe a strength, personally, would be, you know, integrity for myself, and I'm able to overcome obstacles on my own.
And what about your need?
Yeah, you know, just someone to check up on me, you know, what I'm doing, you know, how I'm doing.
So you recently graduated. What's next, and where are you trying to get eventually?
Right now, my current goal is to get my EMT certificate. I'll be transferring to Sac State for nursing program.
Nice. All that education is going to be expensive, right?
Oh yeah, that's why I'm trying to take advantage of LTCC.
Yep. So I think, Brandon, one of the reasons we want to interview you is because you just really exemplify, you know, one of our star students, not only in the classroom, but everything that you've given to campus. I mean, you're on the President's Honor Roll, Perfect 4.0, multiple quarters. That's how I really first got to know you. You were representing the campus as a student athlete. You're involved in student clubs. You worked on campus, giving back through COVID, being a security person. So we're actually just rolling out for the first time this year these President's Service Awards that go to students who not only did great in the classroom, but gave back and gave a lot to LTCC. And so I'm proud to announce that you're going to be one of the first of them. And we got a $2,000 scholarship check for you.
What?
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah, take it. You've done a lot for us, man. So we want to invest in you.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm more motivated now. I can't back off now.
That EMT certificate, get to Sac State, get to Davis.
Thank you, appreciate
cool.
that.
Cheers.
Gotta give you a hug.
Right? What a great student. The guy worked his own graduation because he wanted to make sure that other students had a good experience. We're so pleased to have Brandon on campus, and I am excited that he's going to stick around for another year to get his EMT certificate. Our last student that we'll focus on today is Toni Wesley. Toni has been a committed student. She graduated in 2 years. She was a Promise Navigator, and she helped start our Campus Emoja Club. And all this while being a single mother. Let's hear Toni's compelling story. Great to have you here today. It's been really nice kind of watching you transform through your campus experience. But for everyone else, why don't you tell them a little about who you are and what your story is?
So my name is Toni Wesley. I am 25. I'm from Sacramento, California. I moved to Tahoe in 2018 and immediately jumped into my education. I started out working here on campus at the Child Development Center and moved on to student services, and now working as a Promise Navigator.
Great. So you've done a lot of stuff on campus. Every student has a strength and every student has a need.
Yes.
So could you share with us, maybe start with your strength. What is it that you're really good at as a student?
I would say my strength is persistence and belief and motivation, just because I didn't have everything to kind of help me succeed. And school is really where I found that. I just know that if I tackle my education and stay on the right path, that I'll succeed and I'll be where I want to be.
Clearly, persistence and determination, that's how you got here.
Yeah.
Right? You're part of class of 2020, the class that overcame all the obstacles.
Yes,
right?
yes.
During your time as a student at LTCC, what did you need to succeed from the institution, from staff? How could we help you?
Number one is the positive atmosphere that kind of just makes going to work in school, a lot easier. In addition, campus activities, it makes students feel like they're in a community.
So you made it through LTCC in 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
And where are you off to now?
I am off to UC Merced.
So you've been involved with campus, star student, got through LTCC in 2 years, worked in the Child Development Center, worked in student services. You're one of our first Promise Navigators. Help get the Emoja Club off and running.
Yes.
And all this while being a single mom?
Yeah, that's true.
You want to introduce us to your little girl?
Sure. This is my daughter, Skylar.
So Sky, I want to share with you that your mommy's been a great student at Lake Tahoe Community College, and everyone's here really is proud of her, and she's done so much to give service to the institution. And so we have this new award. It's called the President Service Award, and you may not know this, but you're actually one of the first recipients of it.
Oh, wow.
And the good news, it comes with a $2,000 scholarship check for school. What do you think about that?
Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Are you proud of your mom? Yeah, you have lots of reasons to be proud of her. So Toni, from all of us at LTCC, we're so proud of everything that you've accomplished, and we want you to be successful at UC Merced. We're kind of sad that you're leaving, but we're glad that you get to stay here a little while longer. And we want to wish you all the best and thank you for everything you've done.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone at LTCC, my bosses, faculty, teachers, counselors, everyone as a whole has made my experience that much better. And I appreciate it. And thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Cool. What do you think?
Good.
Such a great story. Toni, we are all so proud of you. We spotlighted a number of students today, and I will tell you that was just my most favorite part of this entire production. But these are just a sampling of the amazing students we have. They have great backstories. Many of them have challenging backstories. They're committed and determined, but sometimes they need a nudge. Sometimes they need some financial support. Sometimes they just need friendship and activity. Thank you, everyone, for joining me to ensure that our students enter with promise and exit with purpose. Thank you for everything you've done to help our students succeed. I'm looking forward to a great year. Nothing can stop LTCC. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us. Please stick around to hear from Dr. Vijay Pendukur on racial equity in higher education.